Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Business Builders. Today, I'm joined with virtual guest, Vanessa Chaviano, who is the founder and CEO of Live Digital Marketing. Based out of Cape Coral, Live Digital Marketing is a full-service marketing agency with a proven team of strategists and content marketing experts. They offer many products and services to help support your digital marketing efforts, such as reputation management, event marketing, creative design, SEO, social media management, PPC services, and much more. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much.
So Vanessa, I always love to start off the show by letting our listeners learn more about our guest. So if you would, please tell us a little bit about yourself. And if you don't mind, give us a little bit of a quick insight on how you view the ever-evolving digital marketing industry.
Yeah, so thank you. Originally from up north, I've been in Cape Coral for probably about 20 years now. I started off in the marketing advertising space on the automotive side. I worked in the dealership world for probably about 15 years, give or take, and then went on to support them digitally right around 2011. So I like to say that I started digital marketing in 2005 when it was just email blasts, and that was kind of the extent of what we were doing back then by like sending coupons and kind of all those fun things. We were kind of just getting our feet wet, but since then had the opportunity to work with some great organizations and companies to kind of learn the ever evolving, as you stated, digital marketing platforms and kind of what's happening. So as far as how I see it and what's gonna happen, I mean, I think we touched on this before. You know, Apple is releasing their update, which is affecting Facebook with their ads and their privacy policies. And Facebook actually announced that they are removing their analytics visibility, which is kind of a crusher in some aspects, not so much with the individual, but more so for businesses and marketing agencies specifically that use that information to do what we do every day, right? So instead of, making any adjustments or trying to modify their platform or anything like that, Facebook just said, never mind, we're just not going to do analytics anymore. Grab all your information, you have 3 months. So I feel like as things kind of roll out and as you start seeing some of these changes in privacy and all of those things, you're going to see maybe a little bit more security or just in terms of data, what's going to be shared. So before we were able to access information, such as age and demographics and all these really key big brother parts, right, that would help us kind of build a campaign. And now we're just having to get a little bit more creative because we don't have that, right? So it's really getting with our customers and partnering with them, our clients, so they can help us better understand who their clients are, right? So having them help us kind of guide what those ages are, those people that are coming in to see them, to help us kind of fill in the gaps with the data that we're not going to be receiving. Right. So I think that's where we kind of see it going. It's just a little bit more partnership with our clients and supporting their efforts, a lot more communication and transparency, just to get a better feel of what's happening.
And correct me if I'm wrong, all of these changes predominantly are more focused for a better user experience, correct? So while
absolutely
it might necessarily affect us off the get-go for the businesses and the analyzing and the analytics, obviously it's going to equal out and eventually be better, for the user in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, the platforms have gotten a lot of pushback from their audiences because they're feeling like they're getting spammed, right? They're seeing a lot of advertisements and all these things. And these platforms are social platforms. They're there to connect with their friends and their family and have different conversations, not to be bombarded with ads, right? So that's kind of the shift is they're trying to go back to the beginning, so to speak. But they're still a revenue source and they still work to generate money. So they have to kind of work around that and see kind of finding that happy medium.
Yeah. Well, speaking of all these tools and analytics, it's a great leeway into our topic today. Our topic is about tools for small business marketing success. We're going to take a look at many different software and programs that you can use to help manage, analyze, and grow your business. And for those that are listening, don't worry. Most of what we're going to talk about today is either free or has some sort of free version that you can definitely take advantage of. So with that being said, Vanessa, if you want, why don't you lead us right off? What's the first tool that we're going to talk about today?
Absolutely. So kind of the one things that we always start out is your website, right? So your website is that's the digital storefront to your business. It's the foundation that you build everything on. So you always want to make sure that you're starting that off on the right foot. And something that we use or leverage to optimize, it's a free product and it's called Hotjar. So what that does is, as a client, you want to know how your customers are visiting your site, what they're clicking on, where they're scrolling, what their engagement is, and all those things, right? It helps you just kind of understand their interest and how to better communicate to them and put out different content specifically to them. So Hotjar provides heat maps and click maps and scroll maps. And what it does is it kind of lights up your website, so to speak, and it gives you the hot zones of your website to show you where the most action or engagement is happening, which for you, it may, have you reorganize your website or maybe move some things around or make some shifts just for a better user experience. Because as users, we've gotten, I don't want to say lazy, but we're very instant gratification, right? So what we find, it has to be kind of right there, like 2 clicks or less. We don't want to dig too much. So just making sure that we understand how they're using the website is key. So Hotjar is a great tool for that.
Yeah, and we actually use Hotjar here at Southwest Florida Inc. And one of the things that we've learned while utilizing it is you better make sure that everything that you want to show to your users and your customers and your prospects is above the fold, right? That's one thing we've definitely learned. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, and that goes across on mobile as well, right? So you have to think about, your website, if it's dynamic, which means it's going to format to the size of the device. You want to make sure, again, with user experience, that you don't have text or images overlapping or on top of each other, specifically on mobile, because we're a heavy mobile user. We have a computer in our pocket, right? So using a desktop is not saying null and void, but we're more apt to using mobile. So really thinking about mobile optimization for your website, making sure that anything that you want them to engage with, a click, an offer, an incentive, whatever it is that you're pushing, is above that fold. So what that means is if you have to scroll to see whatever the content is that you're interested in, that's below the fold, right? They have to kind of keep moving to get to it. So you always want to keep everything kind of right there, easy click, easy access, easy visibility. Again, ease of use for the consumer because it's instant gratification.
Yeah, and just to kind of put it into picture for everyone who might not be familiar with what Hotjar does, really what it does is it takes a picture of your website, how it looks on desktop and mobile. It's really cool. And it literally lights things up and says like, hey, this is what people are actually clicking on. So, if you're going through and you're the one that's created your website for the first time, or even if you have someone else who's created your website, you can actually see like, well, I'm not getting much traction in this service or this, whatever this call to action is. Well, you can actually see that like people actually aren't clicking on it. So it's a great tool to kind of get an insight for people who are really visual people versus, an analytical person.
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll see like your call outs and your reds and your greens and kind of different things. And again, it's just going to show you what they're engaging with. And if you see that maybe, on your toolbar, we call it link juice, right? So the way that you're going to organize kind of that toolbar is the priorities right after your home button. It goes from right to left. So you want to make sure you prioritize kind of your landing pages and your content in that fashion. And if you see that, maybe, through Hotjar, through another tool that has a heat map system, that they're not kind of clicking on that next button after home, where they're hitting on that last option. Maybe you want to move it forward and maybe you want to kind of change or reorganize your website again, just for better usability.
Yeah. Or maybe there's something that you thought that people were going to click on and it turns out that no one cares about it, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. Well, our next tool, correct me if I'm wrong, is Google Analytics. I know obviously most people are probably more familiar with this. So take it away.
Yeah. So what's really nice about it is that it's another free source. It's something that Google provides. And, in our space, it was like, Google loves Google. So if you can use something that they're offering for you, I say take it up. But it gives you everything you can possibly think of in terms of tracking that traffic to your website. You can see time of day, location, specific keywords that are getting them there, your resources, how many people are coming in from social channels, how many people are coming in directly because they know your website. As a social piece of it, you can kind of go into the different options, and there's like an acquisition, social, and like network referrals. And if you're really, really heavy on social media and you're leveraging Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, and all these different platforms, you gotta master one. You have to be really kind of good at one, and you want to see which one's giving you the best results. And in that, network referrals, you can see which channel is bringing you the most users to your site. So it's a really cool thing if you feel like you're maybe stretching yourself out, trying to be everywhere. We always say kind of just own, one channel or two, just own those and do very well in them, because not every channel is going to be for you. So that might be an opportunity to kind of identify which ones are working and just kind of move those efforts to those specific channels. And then of course, time on page, how much time they're actually spending on your website. That's also, great information, because if they're coming in and they're bouncing, then either, they landed there, by accident, or the content they were looking for, wasn't there. So that might just kind of help you identify opportunities, just to either create more content or kind of, again, just evaluate your website and see what the changes are that you have to make. And it gives you real-time stats. So you can kind of go into the real-time section and go into overview and kind of see what's happening on your website. And again, it kind of gives you a breakdown of probably more information than you'll ever want. But as a business, it's nice to know what your people are engaging with, because to Charles' point, you might have put something on your website that you thought was amazing. And then you see that that's probably like the last landing page that's ever visited on your website. So it's just, it just kind of humbles you, and it kind of just makes you reevaluate, the information that you're putting out there in your efforts.
Yeah. And obviously some of the feedback that we've gotten that, we hear from a lot of small businesses is people always feel taxed because they feel like they have to spend a lot of time on every platform, right? Whether it's social media, all the different channels that are out there. And to your point that you mentioned earlier, you really get to see which one of those platforms is actually helping you to convert someone into a viewer, an impression, a customer. So once you're able to gather up enough data, you should be able to say like, okay, well, now I can allocate more of my time to number 1 and number 2, because it turns out 3, 4, and 5, I'm spending the same amount of time on as 1 and 2, but it's not really doing anything, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, you want to work smarter, not harder. Usually, as a small business, you're wearing 36 hats, right? And if you don't have, that budget to have, a marketing team or an agency, you're most likely doing it yourself. And so you just want to make sure that, whatever you're doing, again, you're just being smart about the time that you're putting into things. And that's just going to give you the visibility and the tools just to make better decisions, and just, better time management for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Google, our next tool is Google My Business. Now, for those obviously who haven't been paying attention, I did a podcast about this a couple episodes ago. Obviously, Google is the largest search engine, and people are, asking their questions there. So with Google My Business, it basically gives you, correct me if I'm wrong, a free listing to promote your business.
Absolutely. So again, it kind of goes back to Google loves Google, right? The more that you leverage Google's products, the more you're rewarded as a client, as a user, as a business. So with Google My Business, it's a local listing opportunity, but there's so much that goes into that platform in terms of reviews. You can do frequently asked questions. You can put posts out. You can do offers. All of those things, you can link your other social channels to the platform. It's just giving you additional visibility to actually appear on search in Google. And, as you stated, Google's like 80% of the search field. So to be able to get a listing or information on that platform for free is amazing. And it's just kind of a no-brainer and something to kind of get into because it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, definitely. My advice for anyone listening is anyone who's starting out or looking to, market their company better, not only make sure you have a Google My Business listing, but make sure it's updated. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, they have come up with a lot of new features on Google My Business that maybe in the last year or two haven't been there.
Yeah. So, obviously with last year with the pandemic and COVID, they kind of did some changes with, business closures, updating your hours, whether you're doing on-site or off-site, if, all these different things. And so they've kind of made the platform a little bit more robust to kind of give more information to the consumer that's searching, right? And the nice thing about it is there's categories that you can also associate with your business profile that's categories that are picked, those are keywords that are picked up in search. So if you're an auto body shop or you do oil changes or, whatever the case may be, those are all keywords that you would tag into your profile. And when somebody is searching oil change near me or whatever the case may be, you're having an opportunity to appear in search for free in that listing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Well, I know it's not one of our tools, but it's something I do want to talk about Google My Business, because I think it's how most people nowadays kind of search and look for information. It kind of goes in line with the review system that's kind of tagged in the Google My Business. So that's something that as a business owner, you have the opportunity to engage with, correct?
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's part of the reputation management component. So it's a little twofold, right? So Google My Business is a listing, but it also has review. And part of that review process is it's public. Everyone can see it. And our rule of thumb is, specific on reviews on any channel. You want to respond publicly. You want to respond, in a timely manner, anywhere between 48 to 72 hours. You want to publicly respond, good or bad. You want to acknowledge it because people read them. I think I always try to compare it to like Amazon Prime. Like if you're buying something and you're unsure, you read the reviews.
Right.
And you kind of just
first thing you do too.
Yeah, and you kind of go down this rabbit hole, right? So you just want to make sure that, if people are taking the time to leave a review, that you respond and you respond publicly. Again, good or bad, right? Because there's an opportunity, if it was a poor experience, obviously to show your concern and to show that you do care about, what the issue is and you want to have it addressed. And it's an opportunity to kind of turn it around and show those who may be interested that you do take what your business seriously and you care about your clients. So it is an opportunity to win over, previous clients and stuff like that. But again, it's just another opportunity for visibility because those keywords or the content that's used in reviews or in, the frequently asked questions or anything like that, those keywords are relevant to search. So if someone writes a review and says, I had a great experience, so-and-so, the food was amazing, and you type in those keywords of like great experience or amazing food or whatever the case may be, because those keywords are in that review, again, your listing has an opportunity to appear for free.
Yeah. So hopefully everyone is taking advantage of that if they haven't already done so. Our next tool you can actually use to help you make your Google My Business listing more enhanced or stand out more, I guess. So our next tool is Canva.
Yeah. So our thing is, creating graphics that grab attention and you use graphics pretty much everywhere, right? In digital space, right? You're posting images on, your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, you're creating covers and logos and posts and stuff like that. So I would say, you don't have to be a graphic designer to create, great images. And Canva is just one of those platforms that we absolutely love. You don't need to be an expert in Photoshop or anything like that to create great images. So that platform makes it very user-friendly. It's a free resource. There's a buy-up to it as well. But the free resource is good enough. There's a lot of templates that you can use that can help guide you. So, if you're really unsure or, you've never created an image before, it's pretty easy, like drag and drop, easy to use, again, to kind of do what you have to do to be relevant, to get out there, to get attention, to create some scroll stopping images for your business.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they recently added a video suite or video template to Canva as well. Yeah,
so they've actually added a lot of different kind of plugins and sources. So they have free videos, so you can put videos kind of behind graphics. You can have animations, you can make GIFs, that MP4 factor. They've added music as well, so you can actually add music to your images. They've added in different kind of tools so you can pull logos and branding and do mock-ups, all these things. And it's amazing. Again, as a small business, not having this huge resource, the free version and the capabilities that it has, I think it's kind of one of those no-brainers to have in your toolbox to kind of create that content for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about social media. Obviously, one of the things that we brought up earlier is, usually there's a lot of time invested into social media. So what are some tools that people can use to make sure they're actually getting an ROI on all the time that they're spending on social media?
Yeah. So, we always like plan ahead and schedule if you can. So we try to batch content. And what we mean by that is we'll take a day and kind of lay out our calendar for the month. So you're not having to worry about posting something every day or anything like that. And Facebook has a product, which is Facebook Creator, which is absolutely free. And you can schedule your posts for Facebook and Instagram on that platform. And it also gives you some insights as well. With the new changes that are happening, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Insights tab and how much information we're going to get out of it now. But there's a lot of cool information in there that kind of shows you, what your users are engaging with, what they're liking, the impressions, the visibility. So it can give you an idea of the type of content that your users like to see. Predominantly video does always perform best just because it's moving and it's more engaging and eye-grabbing. So usually video will outperform just regular images. But again, those insights and those tools and that free resource in Facebook Creator kind of just gives you a good basis so you're not running completely blind as far as what your clients like to see on your page. Hootsuite also has another a free platform where you can do 3 social profiles. And Hootsuite links up with Pinterest and YouTube and Twitter and all the other channels. So if you have one more channel that you wanted to post to, you can probably just shift over to Hootsuite and use that platform to schedule and kind of batch out your content so you can kind of plan ahead and not have to worry about, hurrying up and posting something for that day.
Yeah. So are there any other platforms that you would recommend if people are using, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 channels? Is Hootsuite usually the go-to?
There's Buffer, there's Hootsuite. Sprout's a little bit more expensive. It all really depends on, cost. Hootsuite, I would say, is probably right in line there with Buffer as far as like cost and how many profiles and channels you have. But those would be the ones I would say kind of to shift with if you do or kind of doing all the things on social and you want to post in all the places. I would take a look at Buffer, Hootsuite, just to see what those prices are in comparison.
Awesome. Well, if you want to take us onto our next, I believe it's tools number 6, I should say.
Yeah. So basically understanding what's happening, right? So now that you've optimized your website, you've done your local listings, you've kind of started posting your content and scheduling those things out, you want to know what's working, right? And as we kind of keep hitting on with some of the information possibly going away, you want to have some type of platform or reporting tool that can kind of pull everything all in one instead of hopping into all the different channels to kind of see what's happening. Simply Measured is one of those tools. It's an analytics and management tool. So there's a lot of kind of free components to it, but it measures kind of your Twitter followers, your Facebook, followers, kind of all the different platforms and measures kind of what's happening with them, the traffic sources, your basic, we see the competitive analysis, which is nice just to kind of see where you rank if you have any local competitors to kind of see what's happening. There's a lot of kind of different facets into it, but you can kind of get in there and kind of see what's happening on your social channels and what's happening in analytics and Google and kind of see where the shift has to happen, and it's all in one platform versus having to jump into numerous platforms to get the information. It just makes it a little bit easier to digest, to get a better visibility into everything. Agency Analytics is another. I'm not 100% sure if they have a free version. And I know they do offer a free trial, but what they do is they have different plugins for basically all aspects of your business. So you can pull SEO, you can pull website, you can pull all your social channels, reviews, local listings, everything into this one platform. And you can kind of create the report with the information that it's important to you in the business. And again, put it in one area where you can kind of scroll through everything and get a better understanding of what's happening with your marketing.
So again, kind of taking out all of the fluff that you're not really trying to track and, put what is it that you care about most and how can I see that as quickly as possible?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, now that we've kind of talked about your website, your analytics, your listing, how can I create things? How can I track things? What's kind of the last tool that would essentially put all that into a customer profile?
So CRM is kind of the big baby, right? It's having all these things and having these customers. You need to know what's happening with these customers, right? So a good CRM we say is key, because you need to know, how often you're engaging with that specific customer, how often are they engaging with you? And there's a lot of different platforms that track that. HubSpot is a platform that we actually use as an agency. They have a free CRM component, which is great. Anything free, take it up if you can. And it stores a lot of great information for you. And as far as the CRM, you're able to download as far as their information. You can track your email conversations. You can track kind of anything that's happening as far as any work that you're doing, any of their engagement with your email campaigns, all the things, again, in one kind of area to have better visibility of your business. I think HubSpot's a great tool for that.
Yeah, and we actually use HubSpot here, so I'll give them a plug as well. So
yeah. I love them. I think they're great. I have experience with Salesforce. Salesforce is great. I love them. They're just a little bit on the pricier end, right? So as a small business, it may not be an option that fits your budget to start, right? But HubSpot is a good entry point. They have a good kind of entry, like the free cost, and then obviously the next level up are still pretty affordable in comparison to Salesforce. But they have a lot of other components as part of their platform for support and for service and for marketing and all the different things that connect with HubSpot, where you can kind of do different landing pages on your website and do pop-ups and do all these trackers, and almost like Calendly, you can schedule a meeting and, all the things in one space, right? So again, we always go back to kind of working smarter, not harder. If we can find a resource that can do a majority of the things that we need to take care of for our clients and as an agency, it just makes sense to kind of have it in your back pocket.
Yeah. And I want to give a quick shout out to Calendly as well. I know it wasn't something that we originally had on our list, but for people who always go back and forth in these email chains of like, hey, I'm not available Friday, and then they're not available Friday. It's like, how about Monday? It's like, well, I can't do Monday. Calendly is kind of a great resource to that, because it basically gives you a direct link to someone's calendar that you can just go in and kind of pick your own time.
Exactly. And I think they have a free option as well. I know HubSpot offers it. We have the paid version, so I'm not sure if they have it in the free version, but the calendar tool is something that we do love, because it's a lot when you're trying to navigate or book a meeting with multiple people as well. So that way, if you can kind of just see their schedule and you kind of schedule a time that works best for you at your convenience, it removes all, like you said, that back and forth and kind of that waste of time.
Yeah, you usually waste about 2 days trying to schedule it before you actually get it scheduled.
Exactly.
Are there any other free CRMs you'd love to talk about today?
I think that's pretty much the ones that we use. I know Monday.com, it's not really a CRM, but it's kind of a project management piece. That's another kind of cool tool to kind of check out. Again, we kind of more focus on HubSpot just because it's something that we use for us and our clients, and they have that free aspect. But I would say for sure, just check it out and see kind of what they have to offer and your familiarity, because for us, it's pretty easy entry to use. It might be a little bit much to others, but it's just a good avenue in one area to have all your business and client information so that your team has access to that same information. And so they can see what you see. And for us, I think it's great because we have multiple people on our team. So there's something happening and they weren't included on an email chain or something like that. You can easily pop into the client or to the business account and see what the communication has been to kind of catch up to speed as far as what's happening. So I think that transparency and that visibility is key.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's our 7 tools, hopefully, that you can use to help, grow your small business. Vanessa, how can our listeners get in touch with you if they have any more questions about any of the platforms or software that we talked about today?
They can go to our website. So they can go to livedigitalmarketing.com. So it's livedigitalmarketing.com. We have an option where you can kind of submit information for a free marketing analysis. You can set up time on our calendar to kind of have a discussion as far as, what's going on with your business and what makes sense. We do that a lot during the week with our small to medium-sized businesses. So I would say definitely take advantage of that analysis. And if anything, it'll just give you a better idea of what's happening with your business, maybe where to kind of move some of your resources or focus your attention.
Awesome. And I'll definitely make sure all that information is linked in the description and the bio to, wherever this wherever you're listening to this podcast. And I'll also include all of the links in the descriptions for all of the software that we talked about today. So Vanessa, again, thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully we've helped people learn about some tools that they can kind of integrate into their business.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you enjoyed listening to this episode, make sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss another show. Join other professionals looking to grow their business with Southwest Florida Inc. at SWFLinc.com and sign up for a free membership today. Thanks so much for listening to Business Builders. We'll see you next time.